Hello, everybody.
Hola.
Hi, everyone that has followed me from John's Longbox show that I just ran from and immediately over here, and then delayed my own stream because we were nerding about manga.
Yes, we were.
It happens. I'm wearing my hat, you guys. Like, I
It
mean,
looks
you guys
dope.
see the hat, but I always forget to wear it. But here you go. It's the puffy one. It's got these like puffy letters and stuff. It's super nice.
Oh, so it's kind of like it's kind of it's very 3D-ish.
Yeah, it's like
I can see that. I can see it at the angle. Yeah, that's dope.
It's like chubby and stuff. I don't know how they do it. It's like there's some foam in it or something, but it's great.
That's awesome.
Buy my merch. Thank you.
I was particularly grooving off your intro music because it has like kind of that old school feel to it. And over this break, I was watching I watched Terminator with my 14-year-old. He'd never watched Terminator before. My bad. We watched Terminator and we watched Predator. And
you're
the original.
Your children.
Yeah. So I mean, like. Good. So I was listening to your music and it kind of gave me a little bit of that Terminator feel. I was just like, yeah.
Really? Terminator?
Yeah. It wasn't full Terminator, but it's just a little bit of an old school kind of feel to the music. It wasn't totally old school, but I was just like, it's got a little old school touch to it. I like it.
Cool. Well, it was just something free that I like well enough, but for the video I wanted to use. But thank you. I'm glad you liked it. I like the intro. People were asking me to make a new scooter intro while I was in Taiwan. That didn't happen. I no longer have a scooter, but I'll try. Or maybe I'll just reuse this scooter intro forever. I don't know.
I like this. I like the scooter intro. Just saying.
Yeah, it's nice. I was like, I mean, I can change it up. I can have a dash cam video of me driving around Atlanta, but it would just be chaos and anger because that's Atlanta traffic. Do you want that instead? It wouldn't be fun.
No, it wouldn't be the same aesthetic. I mean,
no, it wouldn't.
No, it's really cool. Kind of your intro. So I have to ask you: Have you watched Predator and have you watched Terminator?
I watched a Terminator, the one with Cersei. Lena Headey, and so whichever them, and Summer Glau, which that one was cool.
Oh, so you watched the show? So you watched the show with Summer Glau? That was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun.
I haven't seen Predator. No, I haven't seen Predator.
You know what? It's worth it. I mean, like I rewatched both of those with my son just this last week, and Terminator holds. I mean, it's like you can like in the future scenes. I mean, it doesn't have like kind of the same kind of futuristic feel but it's gritty and it really holds up well. And Predator, I mean, the jungle scenes, I mean, I'm just saying, if you haven't watched or haven't seen it in a while, it's actually a treat. I think you should. Just saying.
Okay. I'll add it to my long list of American media that I missed out on because my childhood was spent under a rock, and I'm never going to get through this list, but thank you very much.
Yeah, because the thing that you'll realize, it makes me, it's funny because like there's almost something about like Arnold movies that almost kind of like become their own cliche. But I watched this movie and I realized like why Arnold was such a big star. I mean, it's like there's a magic to Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's like even as Dutch and Predator, and the thing. So I'm going to be a nerd about Predator. So like, so from just like a pop culture standpoint, American pop culture standpoint, you have Arnold Schwarzenegger there. You've got Carl Weathers, who played Apollo Creed. You've got Bill Duke. I mean, I'm just like, you've got Jesse the Body Ventura, who was a WWF wrestler and of course became governor of Minnesota. I mean, like the cast. I mean, the cast of like He-Man in this movie is just it's wild. It's like I'm watching it now, and I'm just like.
So the manliness was on like 9,000, is what you're saying.
The manliness was on 9,000, but it wasn't like contrived manliness. You're just like these are some dudes that you're just like, man, it's like they picked the right dudes because you knew the Predator was bad. Because you're just like, if the Predator, these guys, okay, the Predator is, is a bad creature.
It's okay. All right. People are giving me shit. You had 17 years in America. I mean, my mission wasn't to watch all the movies here. It's like, when you're a kid, it's your parents' job to culture you and show you the things from their culture. My parents didn't do that.
And you know what the thing that I realized about 80s movies, like these old movies are so good, it's like, because like, it's like the opposite of like, I mean, like the movies there's so much grittier than I remember. And you're like, how did our parents let us go and see these movies? But they did.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But here's the thing. I think with, this is actually, we're going to weeb out 100% on this show. It's inevitable. But with like how wild manga is, like, I think there are limits, but like, I think kids can handle subject matters that are more out there than we think. And the things that I remember scaring me as a kid weren't sort of like, all the standard things that they say should, like, children are like so fragile, everything has to be like wrapped up and like protected, and especially not dumbed down. What really annoys me is that media for kids now, or they kind of use it as an excuse, this is for kids, so that's why it's bad. Basically, that's stupid. It's, remember when even shows for kids were really good? Because my favorite shows growing up were shows like Mummy Alive and Gargoyles, and there was some heavy stuff in there.
Gargoyles was dark,
and I always liked Gargoyles was so good. Only the first
Gargoyles was so good.
It was so good. It was like one of the few shows I did get in like Taiwanese. I don't even know. It was like in Chinese, but it was on my grandparents' TV. But I loved it. It was so cool. And I didn't know the difference between that and anime, but it was those shows and Case Closed and like other kind of stuff that, had a lot of weird, like crazy people and murder, but kids can handle that. And I think it's good to show them to like talk about psychology and variation, because it's just real life. There's a lot of, you had to prepare them for wild shit. Anyways, I'm getting too into it.
No, I agree 100%. I mean, so some of the first anime that I saw, I didn't even know it was anime, and I'm aging myself now. So Battle of the Planets, and Speed Racer. Now, the thing that I remember about those cartoons growing up is just like, and I would watch these like in the morning before going to school. So, but like people died in those cartoons. You know what I mean? It's like people get driven off the road, the car goes and explodes. And you're just like, oh snap, or Battle of the Planets. They're fighting these guys from, I think it was Spectra. I mean, it's like you're like, but it wasn't like we were, we saw it. We're like, oh okay. And it gives you at least some kind of perspective on things. You're just like, okay, driving off a cliff, not good.
Right. Yeah, that too. But it just, as long as it's not dumbed down, like, obviously, I don't know. I feel like we've got it all backwards. It's like, well, you should, obviously, there's all the, I'm trying to like not mention anything that could be interpreted as political, but, obviously, sexual themes don't need to be in kids media. Should not.
Oh my goodness.
What is that? That people are saying that's okay now, but on the other hand,
well, those are rumors.
Like absolutely. So that's okay, but life lessons and heavy subjects that would actually teach children something, presented in a way that they can digest, because children are they're not dumb. Children are very intelligent. They're just not wise. And I don't think you need to have children to understand that. It's just these people never interacted with kids. And so I think it's just very disrespectful to the next generation to be like, well, you can't handle, we're not going to prepare you for any life lessons, but instead we're going to put a bunch of groomer shit in front of you. I hate modern media for children.
No, modern media for children is trash. And it's like you said. Oh, I know. I mean, it is not meant. It's not even meant to entertain. It is meant to groom. A lot of it is meant to groom, and you're just like, so it's like, it's funny. Like I'll watch like these old 80s movies and old 80s cartoons with my kids, and they'll enjoy it. And yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, there's some adult language in there. There's some things in that, but it's just like, it's entertainment, but there is some kind of a moral compass to it. You know, even in the midst of kind of all the grittiness, there is some kind of a moral compass to it. And it's just like, and I know, like I said, I don't want to get you struck or banned, but it's like, I mean, so I'm not going to mention anything in particular, but I'll let my kids watch that, but there's a lot of stuff that's been produced within the last couple of years. No.
Yep, I've heard, and it's, I don't know, like, what we can mention. Yeah, we're gonna take it into. We're gonna talk about your comic that is not like that stuff. We're not creating shit like that. But
nope.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad, man.
No.
But the best thing you can do to counter it is make good media and make actually good entertainment. It's hard. It's hard, as we all know, but it's gotta happen.
Yeah, no, like you said, it's not easy, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
Oh, where's John?
Yeah, John says hi to John. I thought that was kind of funny.
What's up, John?
I'm easily amused. Well, I'm going to pull up your campaign so we don't dilly-dally too much, but
absolutely.
So I'm sure my chat, we've got so many people here watching. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I mean, John, it's like your fourth time on here or something, so I feel like we're just on here shooting the shit, but we are here to promote your comic, Black Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Chapter 2, and to hang out. We're just gonna, I'm a night owl. I have all the time in the world, so I'm just gonna run my mouth for hours if you don't stop me. But we're the link to the book we're promoting today is in the description, so please go check that out. If you don't have time, at least bookmark that. Make sure you back it, because there's a cover by me and you don't want to miss out on that.
You don't want to miss that.
Definitely stick around if you can, and follow us through this conversation, because it's going to be great. But for people who don't know John, don't know you, want to tell them, who are you? Where do you hail from? What are you about?
I hail originally from Los Angeles, California, and my family and I would now live in Houston. So, we made that move, and there's a lot to that in and of itself. But I'll tell you, comics have always been a big part of my life. I mean, growing up, like, once again, I will date myself again. When I first started reading comics, you could get them. You could get them at newsstands, bookstores, drugstores. They were on spinner racks. So that was my first exposure to comics. And the thing is, the beauty of that is, like, as a kid, when you can go somewhere with your mom and be able to get comics, you're winning. Because that person that is going, that is, you don't have any money other than the money that your folks are giving you. Right. And it's like, I got to an age where we would start hopping on our bikes and we'd go riding places looking for books. But, before that, it's like you need to have the books in places where folks could have access. So for me, there was a 7-Eleven and a local drugstore. There was just kind of catty corner to each other. And those were my two main places, for getting comics off the rack. And I mean, admittedly, comics got me into reading. I wasn't even, because you pick up the books, you can tell the majority of the story by just what's going on in the panels. And I said, I need to actually read this to get the other 15-20% of the book. So started reading, and that's how I developed a love for reading, actually, was through comics.
I hear that a lot. Yeah, I hear a lot of people that read comics or grew up in that era where comics were still on every corner store in America. They learned to read through comics.
Absolutely. I remember my mom had some friends that were like, I can't believe you buy your son comics. She's like, he's reading something,
Yeah. That's a great mentality. Yeah. If only more parents thought like that. I figured it out. That's how we should promote comics. This teaches children literacy. I mean, with the state of modern education, I don't know if they care, but
I know.
I don't know. It's a wonderful medium. I don't know why it's not everywhere. It makes me so sad.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like, they had, I mean, it's like they even had, you know, like these educational comics. So there was like these legacy comics, which were like autobiographical about different people in history. So, I mean, it's like, actually, that's where I developed my real interest in history. It was like in middle school, I started picking those up. We have like, you know, they tell you about Abe Lincoln, they tell you about these different folks. And I always thought that those were cool. And then they had like some books that were like, you know, comics that were kind of like, you know, electronic type, you know, so, you know, teach you how to, you know, kind of, you know, build things and teach you things about circuitry. And it sounds totally geeky, but it's like having that visual aid to go along with, and making things like, this isn't a word, storifying, making a story out of things, you know, it makes it so much easier to glom onto, you know, because one of the things I realized about history is I didn't like it in school, because they took something that was really interesting and presented it in the most boring way possible. It's like, history is actually very interesting, but it's like schools have done a magnificent job of making history boring, you know. So then it's like, once I started reading some of these comics, then I started reading like biographies and autobiographies. I was like, actually, this is pretty interesting stuff, you know. It's just textbooks made it boring as all get out.
That's true. I remember, you know, it was such a blessing to grow up in Asia. I know people give me shit about not growing up in America all the time, but listen, like I mean, listen, okay. In Taiwan, it was like, I think I did get that experience of comics being everywhere that other millennials missed out on, because in Asia it was the same, and it's still the same. So nowadays there's more digital comics and manga in Asia. But you know what I had growing up in Asia was, we had manga bookstores, and what they were their rental shops. And
what?
So so they have, it was glorious, beautiful. Oh my god, I love spending my time there. So I used to bike or walk to school, and it was like kind of far actually, but there were like 3 or 4 manga bookstores on the way there. And then when I was in like middle school, or like late middle school, a manga bookstore opened right across the street from me. And there was all my homework time. I never got any homework done. And
exactly.
My grades were so bad, but I was always in the manga store reading manga and drawing, because I don't want to be anywhere else. And what they were was, so it's wonderful. It was just like this mini bookstore, shelves and shelves of manga, and you can rent one and just read it there, or you can pay like a tiny bit more and take it home. It's like a library, and you don't buy the books. You just rent it, and usually there's like a little drink store right next to it. So you buy your bubble tea, and you go there after school. You like pay, like, I don't know, it's the equivalent of like a dime or something, and you just sit and read like one manga volume for a dime. And these are like thick tankobon, so you have hours of entertainment. Then you don't get any homework done. And your mom yells at you, and it smacks you. But like, it's worth it, because now I'm drawing comics. So it was just so great. And speaking of, you were talking about the educational value of comics, and this is what really fascinates me about manga specifically, because when you look at manga, there's so much like weird manga out there, and it's like, it blows my mind when there's the American perception, the manga's all degeneracy. It's like, that's a small selection of a medium. Saying that there is hentai, oh no, so manga is all bad. That's no different than saying, well, porno, like, novels exist, so novels are bad. Like, you have to understand, manga is not a genre, it's an entire medium. It's just comics, and they have such a healthy industry that you have all kinds of, there's horror, there's romance, there's weird degenerate stuff, then there's wholesome heroic stuff, and then there's really educational stuff as well, which is a huge portion of shonen and shoujo. And shonen and shoujo are the genres, because it's like, in Japan, the genre, so there's like genres like horror and action, all that stuff, but then there's also a further genre division of target audience, and they're not like America, where we've lost our minds and we're not allowed to say that. So the main distinctions are shonen, shoujo, josei, and seinen, and that's for young girls, for young boys, for adult women, for adult men. And those are the 4 main categories that divide their comics into. That's the target audience. So that's clearly, it's not like, oh my God, if you're not this target audience, you can't read it. No, it's not that. It's just that's the target audience of the genre. Duh. But so for the ones that are targeted at like school age boys and girls, there's a lot of educational material. There's there was like the Hack 'em Up, the Naruto and Bleach and stuff. But there's a manga about I don't remember the title. Somebody in chat is going to tell me because chat is amazing. But it's about like red blood cells and white blood cells are characters, and it's this giant factory, but it's all the like cells and bodily functions are characters, and they all have all these character interactions, and they all have uniforms. Like the red blood cells have like red uniforms, and white blood cells have white uniforms, and there's a bunch of other chemicals, and they're all interacting. And what it's doing is teaching the kids how biology works, but it's through these like cute little characters, and it's an anime, and then you have all kinds of other. There's Dr. Stone. So Dr. Stone is this manga that I think there is an anime now where it's this like kid who it's like the story of a kid after like I haven't read it, but I think the general premise is civilization has collapsed, end of the world, blah blah blah. And I think it's like everybody has turned to stone, which is why it's called Dr. Stone. But the main character's task is essentially to rebuild civilization from scratch. So think of all the things. This is young boy and like, you know, his little cohort, and they're trying to figure out all these things, starting out from like, you know, basic building blocks, and then figuring out chemistry and doing all these chemistry from raw elements. You're teaching kids chemistry through a really entertaining story and cool characters. And I remember growing up, I started taking Go classes, you know, like the board game Go, because of Hikaru no Go. Hikaru no Go was like the hot thing when I was growing up, and it was this. There was this really, really popular manga that was about this boy playing a board game, like it was like chess, and it made it so dramatic. And then there was this like ghost that was following him around that had his whole backstory, and it was like they can make the most boring shit as dramatic as possible because that's like Japan is just really good at being dramatic. And I started learning to play this game because of that. And I remember I got into reading more murder mystery books, which is why I'm a weirdo, but because one of the first manga I really loved was Case Closed, which is a story about it's like a high school detective, right? Like a high school genius detective, but he got shrunken, and he's now a little like elementary school boy, and nobody knows his identity. He says, keeps his identity a secret and all that shit. But anyway, so he's like a genius high school kid, but in like a little like 6-year-old boy's body, and solving these murder mysteries, but he has to be covert about it. And he's kind of using this like idiot detective that's his girlfriend's dad as a cover. And it's so creative and so much fun. And again, it's a kid's, like it's aimed at like elementary and middle school age kids, but there's like murder and really dark stuff in there, but it doesn't shy away from that. And it's like, there are limits to how much they show, but it doesn't, you know, not show it. It just shows it in a tasteful way that kids can handle. And I learned so much from that. All these like dumb things about procedural stuff and like, I don't know, like silly little things about like stranger danger and that kind of, I can go on.
See, but that's cool though.
And also there were, and speaking of historical stuff, I don't know if that was just a Chinese comic series, if it was Japanese, but there's so much historical manga about mostly Romance of the Three Kingdoms, because like for some reason it's just like Japan is obsessed with it, China is obsessed with it, the entire Sinosphere is obsessed with it. It's just everything is like reimagining the Romance of the Three Kingdoms is insufferable. It's like Romeo and Juliet in the West, and it's just a Journey to the West as well. It's just, let's just keep on regurgitating. I mean, I get it's cool, but fucking hell, it's just, I get it. But there were comics of that, and there were comics in the school library of the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, and not just that, also other historical characters, like the life of Confucius, the life of Buddha, even the life of Jesus, and the life of all these like historical figures and stuff. And I got into it because I liked comics, and I was reading that before I was reading novels, and it was readily accessible because it was everywhere. And this is actually a really good thing. It's a really good thing, and I'm so sad that we don't have that.
Yeah, it's a challenge. It's a challenge that we don't have it. I mean, we don't have that culture. You know, we lost that culture of just having the books that are readily available to folks. And we see the fruit or the result of that. It's interesting though, because even though a lot of young folks don't read comics in the US, a number of them do read manga. And that's what blows my mind. I'm like, it's it's not the fact that, and I guess it's accessibility as well. I mean, it's like, even if for the bookstores that still are around, I mean, they usually all have pretty good manga sections, where people can pick up books. But I was just like, man, we really, at least American comics really shot themselves in the foot. Because I remember growing up, there were all kinds of comics. I used to read like, war comics, horror comics, all these different, there's all these different types of comics, that existed. And even detective style comics. And I went from reading detective style comics to reading like detective style fiction. I mean, I read I think I probably read the majority, if not all, of the Robert B. Parker books. And he wrote, there was a TV show back in the day called Spencer for Hire. Well, he was the one that wrote the novels about this character, Spencer and Hawk. And I read those novels. I mean, they were great. But comics were my jumping on point for so many other things that I read. And I feel like just, American culture, we don't have that anymore. We lost that.
Yeah. That's so sad, because I think and this isn't me going like, well, manga's better or anything. I think what I would love to see American comics expand to have more genres and be on every corner store, and essentially grow to be just as influential and strong of an industry as what they have in the East, because it's like a shocking transformation. I remember when I first came to the States, it was a little hard to find manga, or it was like this weird experience where you go to Barnes and Noble and it was like the weirdest manga was translated. I'm like, why did you translate this and not the good stuff that I know is like good? It was so weird. And now it's just like taken over, right?
Yeah.
I think, and it's just like, you would think that looking in from the outside, there's no way that Proof could be slapping people in the face that you're doing it wrong and they would still not listen. But that's exactly what's happening to the industry, where manga is kicking ass and it seems like nobody wants to actually do what's necessary to fix the problems for American comics. And it's sad, because I want American comics to do well.
Yeah. I mean, I know we've all talked about these different things. I mean, the big challenges with American comics, I mean, you figure, the two major companies that that own, I guess the majority of the market per se, they're not comic book companies, and comics at best are just loss leaders for them, right? I mean, they're not interested in making comics. They're interested in making other media, and if you're not interested in making comics, if comics are just a loss leader for you, you don't care what your model is. You don't care that you're not reaching the masses. And that's just a huge challenge that we have. I mean, honestly, I don't know what it would take to turn this ship around. I don't.
Yeah, I don't have the answers. If you have the answers, please let me know, because I would be happy to help. But I don't think it's in the power of any creators alone. It's sort of, I think, maybe you're right. Maybe it's just these comic companies are owned by entertainment conglomerates that don't really care about comics, so it is too late. And on a certain level, and I feel bad for people that grew up with superhero comics and with Marvel and DC. And I don't think like superhero comics are gonna die, or Marvel and DC are gonna like go under or anything. But I think there's essentially the industry needs an injection of fresh air and creativity, and I don't know where it's going to come from, but I think at least having indie creators try and create something new is a first step.
Agreed.
And because if you never try, you never know, right? So
yeah, and the thing that I like about the model, at least in Japan, I mean, it's like you have producers and publishers, you know, and the publishers aren't trying to screw the producers of the books. They'll split, you know, so the publishers have the arms to get the product where it needs to go. And then the producers, you know, they don't get, it's not like, hey, you know, we'll buy you out of your property. It's they get to enjoy the fruit of their labor. It's a very different model than the model that we have here.
Right. It was so I know some people that actually work in as mangaka in Japan, manga assistants, right? But learning about the industry from them and having done a few conventions there, it's really surprising. First of all, that the respect that even a common person has for manga as an art form is astounding. Like like even just random people on the street, they might not be manga fans, but everyone has read a few comics in their lives. And when you go to conventions, it's like lay people, regular people, and you can tell with the way they approach artists, it's just so shocking. They see this as an art. And from what I've heard, I've never been to a European show, but it's the same there. And it's really fascinating because I think that ties into this other thing I realized, which is they're very, very, very strict about respecting intellectual property. So when we did a show in Japan, we were told you can't sell prints of works that aren't your own. Like if you work for Marvel and DC and you worked on this book, then you can get away with it. But especially if it was a Japanese work and you didn't work on this, you don't want to be selling your Spirited Away prints. Don't do that. Like that will actually piss people off. Like the customers will give you evil eye, and and they're that strict about, which is kind of strange because they also have the doujin culture. But doujin culture is kind of this condoned gray area with intellectual property, where I think the mangaka give a lot of leeway for up and coming artists to take their characters and create their own stuff, but credit is always given to the artist, and you're allowed to make some spare change essentially on like fan fiction comics. And I think that's allowed because it's seen as a way to foster new artists. That's why doujinshi culture is a leeway that is allowed as far as intellectual property goes. But as far as and it's very much understood that if you're drawing doujinshi, you're drawing these fan comics, it's because you really respect and love the source material. But if you're just selling a print or something, you're making money off of IP that's not your own. And I think that ties into why the industry have all these like big publishers, Hakusensha, Kodansha, but the companies don't own the IP, so to say. They own partial rights, but the final say is with the creator. And I know that Japanese work culture has a lot of problems, but I think that there is nowhere that's perfect. It's like in America, there's a trade-off. Our work culture is better, much, much better, with like not overworking people and working people to death. But on the other hand, we have this fucked up approach to entertainment where instead of putting entertainment first and respecting the creatives, it's everything is a franchise. It's not about the story. It's not about the art. And the original creator is almost taken advantage of if you don't know how to protect yourself. And that is really fucked up. And you know what? Honestly, I'd rather have it the other way around, because I think that part of this whole everything has to be a franchise has killed creativity in America.
Yeah. No, and you can even see, I mean, just the way the stories are told. I mean, and even the way that, like, if you looked at comics in the 80s, and you know what, I'm guilty of this as well. You look at comics of the 80s versus American comics today. Comics in back in the day, they always provided you a jumping on point. Every issue is basically a jumping on point, and every issue is kind of like a beginning, middle, and end for a story. So you didn't need to. But the way stories are written now, and I'm guilty of this, is these giant story arcs. So it's like, you can maybe hop in, when a new story arc starts, but just hopping in any issue can be a challenge. you know, and like I said, I'm guilty of this too, you know, with my writing as well. So I mean, I don't want to just, you know, cast dispersions on folks, but these are things to think about, you know, even as we make our properties more and more available to others. You know, it's like, can somebody pick up an issue and get running, you know, and feel, or do they feel like, man, you know, well, I need to get the 5 issues before it. You know, I think I started when I was reading Avengers as a kid. I think I started at like 181. You know, you know, and it's a totally different scenario than we live with today. I realize that too. You know, I think the industry of comics has evolved or devolved in so many interesting ways. Now, because you got to figure they didn't even know what they were building when they were building it. You know, when you look at Marvel in the 60s, I mean, they had no idea what this was going to become. You know, and they've got kind of caught in this loop now, you know, of where they have to, okay, it's like, well, we've gone for a few years, now we got to reboot it. And, you know, because we don't want these characters to age, but we've got all this other stuff that's added in there now, and they've just kind of got themselves in this funky cycle, you know, of rebooting the same characters.
Yeah, I mean, I heard some like Brit commentator, like movie, I forgot who it was. Was it Little Platoon or one of those guys? It's something along the lines like Americans don't know when to let things end, and it's just like that's very poignant. It's kind of is a very American thing where everything has to be kept going on and on and sequels and everything. But I don't know. I think you can make things. There's stories can be made to stretch out for a really long time. Look at One Piece and Berserk has been going on. Berserk is my age. It's ridiculous, but there's a limit. I think if you don't have an end in mind and the story isn't really meaningful, endings make stories meaningful. So and also I think it's not really a lack of creativity. It's the where the funds are coming from and at the upper echelons where the decisions are being made and what to greenlight. They're afraid of taking risks. It's not a lack of talent. Talent is there.
Oh, absolutely.
Even in the mainstream.
Yeah. I think one of I remember back in the day seeing The Matrix for the first time with a buddy and I. We were both in the movie theater, and The Matrix was like, it was so profound when we're sitting there in the movie theater. Like, we're watching the movie, and I could feel my friend looking at me. We're about maybe halfway through the movie, and I look over at him, and he just says to me, "Man, we're in the Matrix." And I'm just like, "Yeah, we are." You know what I mean? It's like you felt like the gravitas of it. I was like, this movie was amazing. But that movie, the way it was written, was a one and done. Because at the end, everything was zeros and ones. He cracked the code. The movie was over. But you know what?
It was supposed to be one and done, but then what did they do?
Because they made so much money, they had to. So then what did they do? They basically retarded Neo. He went from seeing everything to zeros and ones to going back to fighting folks again. I'm like, why would he do that? The dude already cracked the code. You know, so but it's instead of just saying like, you know what, this story is done and we did an excellent job of it. Like, hey, people loved it. Let's you know, let's make sure we just keep, you know, we're gonna ride this thing until it's dead.
Yeah, you know? That's exactly it. Nothing can end. Everything must be written until it's dead, and it's. I don't know. I think it waters down things. Chat's giving me shit for not talking about the book. Listen, we're in a discussion. I'm not distracting John from talking about his book. I'm sorry. It's but this is really awesome. I was restraining myself from talking about the art because, oh my gosh, you got some colored pages in, and this looks even better than when you were on last time, and I saw the pages in progress.
Appreciate that.
So let's go through, and for anyone who doesn't know Black Tiger, Hidden Dragon, this is on volume 2. We're gonna do proper introduction now. But let me get a super chat first, real quick. Shane O'Sullivan for €5. Thank you so much. Thank you for your super chat. Same with 2080. The company allowed fan art short comics from a certain website, but only if the work isn't for sale. Artists found work through this. Right. Yeah, exactly. And it's sort of that understanding. And I kind of get it. And in a certain ways, I think that's really healthy. You know, it's I don't know. It's I'm not saying we can't just like copy Japan, but I think there needs to be we need to figure out something that works for the American industry. That where we can, how do we put comics on every corner store, but also not have that distribution power, but not restrain creativity in the process. I think not over corporatizing it and not making everything a franchise is the first step, because other markets have managed that. I'm sure we can do it, but I don't know how. I'm just a dumb artist. I don't know.
What's the challenge? I mean, it's like you still need a distribution arm, but a distribution arm that's okay being a distribution arm, like that doesn't feel like it has to own. It doesn't have to own everything. You know, it's like, you know, we have the companies that are in place, but they want to push their own IP. You know what I mean? So it's like, as long as all they want to do is promote their own IP, it won't work.
Yeah, that is true. I think that's part of it, where people don't want to. It's like, if somebody's gonna swoop in and say, "Oh, I just want to own this because it's awesome," no. You're just like putting the books on the shelves. Okay, keep your dirty hands off of that.
Make money doing that.
Yes, exactly. Also, I saw a few more people in chat. Amoral fat 40 ounce upgrades. I don't know what that means, but hello. Holy Hand Grenades is getting irritated. Listen. We just, we get a little carried away. I apologize. It is my fault. Jeff Seiler, hello. What's up? Raw's art on this has been amazing. Jolly Green, hey, what's up? Welcome. Thank you for joining today. And Allie was in the chat too. I started her comics. I wanted to shout this out. Reedy did the cover and I did the voiceover. Yes, there's an awesome trailer for this that's animated, and Allie did the voiceover, and it's awesome. It's so well done. I've been like ask the other guys on the block. I've been like ranting about this trailer ever since I first saw it. I'm like 9 days of YouTube. He did this one, right?
He did. Ooh, yeah, he did, and he knocked it out.
Such a good job. Yeah, we're gonna play it actually. I'm gonna let you introduce the comic, then we're gonna play that trailer, because he kind of took the comic art and cut it up and animated it, so it's like half animation, but it looks really, really good. And I want to hire him. He probably, I don't know if he would actually want to do my stuff, but I mean, 9 days of YouTube, I want to hire you. It was great. It was great. So
yeah, it's phenomenal.
Black Tiger, Hidden Dragon. What is this about?
All right, so just in terms of Black Tiger, there's a lot of Black Tiger content that's been created. This is actually the second story arc. It's kind of confusing. So it's like, people are like, oh, it's the second volume. Yeah, it's the second volume of the second story arc. So the first story arc is Legacy of Fury, and then in this story arc, Hidden Dragon, our protagonist, and her name is Jen Fong. She's an assistant DA. She is now in full possession of the power of the Black Tiger, and she is on a mission. She is her father was the prior Black Tiger, and he was killed. She's trying to discover who murdered her father, but also he was posthumously in volume 1. He was posthumously disgraced as a cop, and the name of the Black Tiger was run through the mud. So it's really kind of a redemption story for her. She's trying to redeem her family name. She's trying to redeem the name of the Black Tiger, and she's trying to figure out, who the killer of her father was, because that same force is now coming after her. So a lot of fun. I think, like you said, I mean, it's like, you got to know where your stories, kind of beginning, middle, and end are. She's in the process of her becoming a hero, and learning who kind of her ultimate antagonist is in the process. So if you pick up Legacy of Fury, so Legacy of Fury, fundamentally the equivalent of like 6 25-page issues. That's the Legacy of Fury story arc. Now with Hidden Dragon, you have another 6, and they're 25, depending on the summer, 25 to 30-page issues. So you have the equivalent of about 12 pretty healthy issues of Black Tiger if you get Legacy of Fury and Hidden Dragon all together. So you'll have a lot of good reading. Almost 350 pages of reading.
Yeah, I actually didn't realize that. So this is just volume 2. Okay. I actually didn't even know that.
So volume 2 is included. So this, where you stopped, no, it's cool because where you stopped is perfect. If people pick up Legacy of Fury, they get the first Legacy of Fury story arc, and that's basically 132 pages. Then if they pick up volume 1, they get the first half of the Hidden Dragon story arc, and then volume 2 is the conclusion to that story arc. So you get a lot of good Black Tiger stuff, folks.
Mm-hmm. Right. So it is Legacy of Fury and then Hidden Dragon 1 and Hidden Dragon 2. Okay, I got it.
That's right.
I thought Legacy of Fury was part of Hidden Dragon Volume 1 for some reason. It's
I think the way the naming and the numbering is confusing. I didn't do that as well as I would have liked to. And honestly, I don't know how to do it better.
No, it's this chart helps. So this is very clear right here. So that's a lot of story pages. You're well into this story already. Wow, when did you start on Black Tiger?
Rod and I started on Black Tiger in 04, 03. So Rod does the interior line art. I met him through digital webbing, which was, for those of you young folks that don't know what that was a forum. So it's like social media didn't exist. So the way that worked is like, let's say I wanted to work with an artist. There's a forum, and I would say like, hey, I'm looking for a line artist, blah blah blah. So it was like speed dating. Then different people would put, like, hey, here's some of my portfolio art, blah blah blah. So forums were like kind of speed dating for
a bulletin board and on the
pretty much
in the park and
pretty much.
No, I grew up in the same era. I remember AOL and forums. So
yeah. So I mean, that was how Rod and I met, and we have worked on Black Tiger in some way, shape, or form. We've been doing that since 03, 04. And we've done it at different times. I have a lot of Black Tiger story to tell, and then just depending on where we were, professionally and personally. I mean, there were times when he was working in video games, doing conceptual art, and he was doing different things. So there were times when I'd get like a page or two out of him a month. Then there were other times when he would be in between gigs and I could get a whole bunch of pages, and I'd take full advantage of it. But yeah, so yeah, this is a story that's a long time in the making. Absolutely.
20 years. That's 20 years in the making. Oh my God, that's crazy.
That's cray.
Okay, guys. This story is 20 years in the making. It's already 350 pages. Like, oh, I haven't you back this? Why? If you're watching, why haven't you back this? You need to back this right now. Oh my God. How long is the full story?
So at least in terms of her hero's journey, I'm hoping that I'll live to tell all the Black Tiger stories. But there's another story arc to kind of this, I'd say, this first part of her hero's journey. So another 6 issues for really the first part of her hero's journey. If I had my druthers, and I would love to be able to tell a complete, because I do have a beginning, middle, and ending for her as the Black Tiger, and it will probably be another 5 graphic novels to be able to tell her full story as the Black Tiger.
Wow. Okay. All right. So this is still sort of the introductory phase. Like, she has a hero's journey, but the early hero's journey, so to say, right? And Absolutely. You're almost done with that. I mean, Absolutely. 6 issues. In relatively speaking, that's another one of these volumes.
That's another one of these volumes. The size of Legacy of Fury, because Legacy of Fury is 6 issues. And then after this, I'll consolidate Hidden Dragon just into just one. So you'll have a Legacy of Fury, which is 6 issues, Hidden Dragon, which is 6 issues, and then on to the next story arc.
Right. All right. Yeah, that makes sense. You have everything planned out. And Rod has been the artist on this from the beginning, has he?
He has.
Yeah, he has improved.
Oh, he's improved dramatically.
Yeah, I mean, he was good. I remember seeing Legacy of Fury, but he has improved so much. Oh my God, we gotta scroll down to his art. This is my cover, by the way. That's one of the things.
Yeah, gotta look at this cover. Look at this cover, people. Come on. People love this cover too, Rini. I mean, you knocked it out the park. I was like, let's go.
Look at me. No, I just, it was right there. So back my cover, please. Thank you. Okay.
Back it.
Yeah, the interiors are Rod. And look at this. Look at this.
Yeah, this is, I mean, it's been a great journey. And the great thing is, like, especially as a writer that's had the benefit, I mean, you have all of these different skill sets. You know, you're like Voltron. You have all that stuff in one. You know, it's like, I'm just one of the lions. You know, it's like I can tell the story, and I can write, and I'm able to, I think I'm able to do a good job of articulating what it is I'm looking to see on the page. But I think Rod and I have we've worked together for so long, you know, that he knows where I'm trying to go with the project, but then he also knows that, like, listen, there's some things I can do that are even above and beyond what you're looking to do, John. And that's, to me, that's when you're making the magic. You know, when you have that healthy friction, because everybody wants to make the best project. You know, so it's like, the last thing I ever wanted was, hey, yeah, John, that's a great idea, and then make it, and then afterwards be like, yeah, I didn't think that was going to work. Like, no, if you think there's a better way to go about it, I want to hear it. So the way I script is I'm very kind of not just methodical, but I almost overscript, because I feel like if Rod is the cinematographer, I want him to know what it is I'm thinking and seeing. But then if I'm a director, so to speak, but then if he's truly the cinematographer, he says, like, hey, I see what you're trying to do, but here's a better way to do it. And I know with his artistic eye, he can take something that I'm trying to do and make it better. And that's pretty much what he's done. And he has the free license to do on all these pages, you know, and especially getting into Hidden Dragon, he's so hit his stride, you know, and understanding, like, listen, and has taken such ownership, you know, of the project, that it's amazing.
Right. Yeah, I think that sounds like you guys have clearly worked out a very communicative and healthy working relationship. I don't know how else to describe that, but I think that's the best. When comics can function like that, that is the best, because you have two minds, but it's not just, well, the writer does their job and then the artist does their job, and there's no communication or mutual feedback. Honestly, I think the best comics I've seen, the best process is always, you know, maybe it's like a little, well, Marvel style is something different, but it's like you have to make the writing and the story and the visuals mesh. And when it's two people, the way you do that is having that communication, and you have to trust each other, right? Like, the writer trusts the artist, and the artist also trusts the writer. And I love it when you said you and Rod have worked together so long, he kind of knows what you're going for, which is great. When you work with someone that they know what you like, you don't have to say it. You know, sometimes you realize that you do have to say things, and you have to communicate, because we all forget to communicate. But but yeah, it does. You do kind of get to that point where, and then you don't even realize it, I guess, until you work with someone else. But that's really great. And I think it shows. His art just improved so freaking much. Like, I could see it. Oh my gosh. I saw his work on Lucent, and I was like, when did Ron get so good?
No, he's good,
but it was seriously the next level. Like, these are amazing pages. I mean,
that's the fun of it, though.
Look at this. This is great.
Yeah, and part of the fun of it too is I was giving him kind of the overarching plot points, he was like, well, he told me, hey, these are some things that I'd love to draw. So then I was able to work in a number of things that he wanted to draw into the story. So this whole thing about being in this Mayan ziggurat, you know, it played well into the story, but that's something that he wanted to do. So, you know, we got to, we kind of made it as it should be. It's kind of our playground, you know? So we're getting to put in a lot of just of the fun, kind of cool elements. I mean, you'll see that one part of feudal Japan where there's basically the goblin warlord and the goblin samurai. I mean, that was his influence. He's like, because I already had a backstory that was going to feudal Japan. And he's just like, these are the things that I would love to see. And I was like, we can absolutely do that in the story. So, you know, so you have this this story, which is basically a story from one of the prior wielders of the power in feudal Japan. And this is what's happening is real time. You are gaining the same revelation that Jin is gaining about the Black Tiger power, because you're learning alongside her.
I like that. That's a great storytelling device. And look at these. Oh my God, the curly. You know, I gotta say, I could feel Rod's joy drawing those curly cues.
Yeah.
Curly cues are a lot of fun to draw, guys. It's so much fun. Those vines. Those are so much fun.
Darn curly cues.
Like those tree roots. That's so much fun to draw. I love drawing stuff.
Oh yeah. That stuff will drive you insane, I'm sure. Hey, you know what?
No, I love it. Curly cues are so much fun. I'm not being sarcastic.
One of the things that I have to give you big props for, when we were working on the cover, and you actually brought something to my attention that I've been thinking about, but I hadn't incorporated. I mean, if people look at your cover and they have the flags, the Nakamura flag and the insignia on it, and you and I had that conversation about that insignia. I mean, that was great. You know, because I already had these ideas, because like trying to link all these different symbols together, like the Ouroboros and all these different things, and being able to use a little bit of like a historical flair, like for the Nakamura, you know, symbol. And then so I was really grateful when you brought that up about that. I was like, yeah, that's actually something that I wanted to incorporate. So, you know, I appreciate like working with you, working with Rod, when folks have a flair for something or are excited about something. You know, it's like, hey, what about this? And it's like, yeah, let's incorporate that into the project.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad I was able to. That's my one tiny little contribution to a story element.
No, that was I loved it, and to me, that's when comics work best. You know, when folks are like, hey, well, you know, what about this? What, you know, have you thought about this? And it's like, because it's easy, you know how it is as a creator. Sometimes you have so many things that are going through your head. You know, sometimes you kind of go back and you're like, man, I wish I'd done X, Y, and Z as well. You know, so that makes me that gives me so much joy when I look at that cover. I'm like, oh, I love those flags.
I'm glad. Yay! I mean, you had like a really. Oh, let's go back up to that, because you had a really cool idea for them too. In case you can't see, guys, because this is really small on YouTube, I know. But you should be going to the campaign page and backing it, because
there you go.
You want to. Thank you. We have a few backers already. People in chat have shouted us. Thank you. Thank you. You're awesome. That little insignia, it's like this. It's a sakura flower thing in the middle, but it's surrounded by Ouroboros. So that circle is actually Ouroboros. Isn't that cool? That's obvious. That's John's idea. It's great, and it symbolizes story.
But the thing that was awesome about it was, like, you know, Rini was just because I thought it, you know, at some point I need to make, but she reminded me, she's like, this is important, you know, like you need to have, you know, kind of the family crest, the elements, and I was like, you're right, you know, and here's the idea that we have for it, and she made it. And I'm like, that's so awesome, and it plays into everything in the story. So that geekery makes me so happy. It makes me so happy.
Yay! Oh, I'm glad. I mean, would have been so messed up if, like, I'm supposed to draw these flags, or I mean, I guess I could have just taken them out, but you know, if you're not lazy and you're professional, you wouldn't do that. You would ask, hey, what should go on these flags? What story elements can I add in? Be professional.
And it's awesome. You know, I mean, in those elements, and it's like for those folks that do like to pay attention, they can see the connectivity of that to what's happening in the story. And you're like, oh, wow, okay. You know, it's one of those things to me. I love those elements that it's like, you're like, man, these folks are really thinking, these folks really care about the project that they're making.
Yeah, well, like that all comes from you because you're the creator and you're writing and you're starting out the whole process. This story looks like it jumps all over the place. I kind of, because obviously you gave me a rundown of what's happening, but this is just insane. There's modern setting, and then they go to ancient, what is it? Where it's somewhere in South America.
Yeah. So there's a Mayan ziggurat. There's a Mayan ziggurat. It's in the Amazon. So we're talking about in Brazil. And we have like a kind of like, this is where you get to touch on some of the fun elements of history, you know, because, you know, most people don't think of Mayan influence being in Brazil, but there was some. So just being able to touch on some intricacies, some weird things about history, and then just doing something crazy like this. I mean, it's like, it's a ziggurat, but it's like, it's built into the earth. So like at ground level, you're just seeing the tip of the ziggurat. You have to go in it and go down. So just having fun, you know, with and you know, you think about some of these modern, or some of these ancient works, and it's like, you know, they still don't know how some of these things were built. You know, it's like, how were these, you know, pyramids and ziggurats built back in the day? They don't know the answer to those things.
Yeah, real mysterious. I'm holding back. This is me holding myself back from going on another half-hour tangent. But look at that art. I just realized that you're right. This entrance is sitting under tree. This reminds me of Angkor Wat. You know that old temple in Thailand, right? And it was in Cambodia. No, that's Cambodia. Angkor Wat.
Is it Cambodia? Okay.
Yeah, and it's like it's all these old. It's so old. It's like impossibly old, and like it's all this worn stone with trees growing through it. But it's this huge palace complex that's still standing. It looks kind of like that. Weird, how all these old ruins from all over the world look kind of similar. But
just saying.
That is. that I didn't even know that. I didn't know there was. Is this that's a real thing? There's a ziggurat that's underground. Or
so I took license with that. Okay. I took license with that. But it plays well into the story.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm a little disappointed, but at least I'm sure the story will be enjoyed. It's okay.
Yes.
I'll get over it. This is so nice. I love how. I wish Rod was here, but Rod, does he ever stream?
You know, he hasn't streamed in a while. He just keeps procreating. He keeps having so many like young kids.
Oh. So well, like, yeah, I guess that's a good excuse to not stream. I guess.
You know, I'm like,
well, yeah. But
that's a whole. I probably opened up a whole can of worms with that one.
But, okay. I mean, I'm not gonna ask, but I didn't know he had a bunch of kids. That's a really good reason to be busy all the time. But
yes,
because I want to talk to him about art, and I really like the work he's been doing on your book and on Bancroft's book. It's really nice.
Yeah, you gotta have him. You gotta have Rod on just to talk because, like, I mean, you guys. First of all, you'd have a blast. But he's just one of those folks that just, you know, when he gets a fire for a project or a passion for it. I mean, just look at the artwork here. You know,
yeah,
just
like the frame elements and everything.
Yeah.
Do you know is he using traditional or digital?
He used for these pages. He used traditional. Okay. So for those pages, there are some original pages for sale for those that want them. Some ink pages at the bottom of the campaign. So yeah, pretty cool.
That is very, very cool.
Yeah. And it's one of those things too, where like the black and whites are so beautiful too. So it's like I show some of the images in color and some of them in black and white. And I think the colorist has done a fantastic job. But it's one of those things though, the black and whites are so nice. The inks are so nice. You know, that at times I'm just like, maybe I should have done this book black and white. But I'm glad we did a color.
Well, it's never too late. You can do a black and white edition. I think this will look great in black. Obviously, this works just fine without color. I mean, the colors look great, but you should do a black and white version too.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are good colors. Look at, I just noticed like that the skin tone like under her nose is a really weird thing to focus on, but coloring skin is really hard. And when you get colorists that put those different cool and warm hues into skin, you know that's a good colorist. Like, and this is really nice. This is the same guy that colored my cover.
Same, different guy that colored your cover, but he's awesome too. So the guy that colored your cover, he goes by ARTSHOW. His name is Charles. He's awesome. Cool. He also did the for volume 1 of Hidden Dragon, the purplish looking one with where she's standing and the dragon is in the background. He colored that. This colorist, he's awesome. His name is Vinicius Townsend. And he does a phenomenal job of coloring the interiors of the book. Phenomenal job. And now one of the big challenges, and you know it too, it's like, as you know, if you get great line work, you've got to get a colorist that can complement that, or else you're like undoing, you know, the awesomeness that you have. So you're like, okay, I've got great line work. Now I got to get a colorist that can complement it and add to it, not subtract from it.
Yeah, you're absolutely 100%. Good colors can make or break inks, even if it's the most mind-blowing inks ever. You can have a bad colorist completely ruin it. This is well done. It's because sequential coloring is not just filling in colors; it's telling a story with colors and adding clarity to the storytelling, and then you have all these things taken into account, differentiating panels. You have to set a color palette for every scene and stuff. And I mean, this is why I don't do interior colors. It's actually really hard. It's not the same as just coloring for a cover, but this is great. I love how there's a unified color scheme, and I expect this will be extended to the rest of the scene as well. But the panels are still very differentiated. This is really hard to get right. I'm super impressed. This book looks so good.
I'm excited.
Gosh. Yeah, we have a few backers already. That's let's see, Alex BRP. A backer 126. Yes, Alex is always there. Thank you so much for backing this Black Tiger Hidden Dragon, everybody. The link is in the description. Go back in now. Let's see. Eric Cuttlefield says we got 3 confirmed backers tonight. If you backed and you are in chat and watching right now, shout it out so we can thank you in person. Well, not really IRL, but in real time. IRD. There. Yeah.
There you go.
I just made that up.
Look at that.
Yay! I make up words. Marley, I don't need to know what's happening on the twatters right now. I'm trying to I want to ignore that. So, you know, every day that passes, the less I want to be on Twitter. Ugh.
I know. I just want to see comics. That's it.
Exactly. I try so hard to curate my feed, but it never works. But yeah, so you have ancient Mayan ruins. There was a modern fight scene, and then you have feudal Japan.
Yes.
How is I mean, I want to hear more about this section of the story, but also how do you break these sections up in the book? Is it mostly one or the other? Like, what's going on? Can you say?
Yeah. So, I mean, part of the ability that Jin has uncovered is the ability for her to see through the eyes of prior Black Tigers. So basically, and it's not something that she's mastered, but there's there's something that happens in the book that enables her to basically kind of open up to channel this. And you'll see that happen in the book. So she basically sees this whole amazing sequence. And that's what this is. So this actually is feudal Japan. This is, and it's basically kind of a flashback of sorts. And so honestly, there are parts of the story that I want to go back and tell, because with Black Tiger, the power is a power that's handed down through generations. So one of the things that I kind of want to do with the story is we'll tell Jin's story, but then I want to tell the story of other Black Tigers as well. So I'm kind of opening the door so that we can go back and just fully tell a story in feudal Japan, fully, kind of unravel a story. And you realize that the Black Tiger power has been around, that and some other powers, throughout history, and reflected in different cultures in different ways. So one of the things that you see in the Mayan culture is the Quetzalcoatl, which is also a dragon. So you get to see these different things, throughout different phases of history, and you get to kind of start connecting some dots. So you see the dragon power here as well. Yeah.
I like, so you're connecting all the, that seems so straightforward. How is that? I'm amazed. That's such a great idea. I'm amazed no one has done that before, kind of connecting all these similar mythologies from across human history. What's good on you? That's a great idea.
I love mythology.
So obvious. Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah, I mean, like one of the other stories I did was Magna and the Last Pantheon. So those of you, that's a complete 6-issue story. That's a different story, but if you love mythology, you will love that, because I bring Chinese mythology, Greek mythology, Egyptian mythology, and I bring them all under one house. And I have like some things that kind of unify. So, I enjoy those things, and being able to put them in comics, I think, is fun.
Hell yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I love mythology. I'm not as like, I can't quote the entire mythological text or whatever. I probably know Tolkien better than most mythology stuff, but ancient civilizations are really cool. I love all the stuff around that, and I totally believe in pre-Diluvian civilizations. It was a thing. You will not change my mind, which is why this is fascinating to me.
Nice.
Cool. Yes. We will talk. We need to get a stream of everybody that's like, so sunken cities, and we need to just do a crazy stream.
Oh, let's go.
Except we'll be right. Wait 10 years and wait till they find out some sunken cities, and they'll be like, "Oh, you were right. Oh, so sorry.
Like I told you.
Oh, yeah, you called us conspiracy theorists.
Like I told you.
I'm telling you. But anyways, someone asked, I want a reading cover, but I want it in color. Does it come in color? Yes, it does come in color. These are the uncolored pages, so the comic will be in full color. It's just the colors aren't done yet. Is that correct?
Exactly. So for the Rini cover, just get the featured tier. You'll get the color. You get the color cover.
The featured tier. Oh, thank you. I'm so honored.
I know that wasn't colored. What happened was maybe I should have just released it. Maybe I should have like made a new one. But like when I released it, I only had the black and white image. So then I didn't want to. Maybe it's just because I like seeing that number there. I didn't want to hide that one and put a new one.
That makes sense. Yeah, it was just the black and white. I turned in my inks like the last minute. I'm sorry.
They won't let you update the image once somebody's backed it.
That is kind of annoying. I think I get it, but at the same time, it's also kind of annoying.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So then I kind of gave that update right there. I'm like, hey, it's colored, So I tried. I apologize, but yeah, no, you get it color. You get it in color, full color.
Yep. The
hopefully that has been holding
everything is in full color. So there you go. But you should totally do a black and white interior version, because I really like the black and white art.
Yeah, I think that may have to happen.
And these are from previous issues, so these are from before.
So this one right now, this is still in this volume is all over the place. So this is still in this current volume. So I mean,
oh, okay.
Yeah, this.
I was mistaken.
I wouldn't say that like the prior volume was a setup for this one, but this volume, it just takes off flying. I mean, the action is literally all over the place in this volume.
Yeah, I can tell. This is still from this volume. That's insane. All this stuff is from this volume. All right. Well, there you go. So there's Los Santos. There's where are we here? Oh, I don't even know. This is either in like some.
It's a maze. It's a maze of death.
How many pages is this book? Like the whole thing is 350 pages. How many pages is this book?
That one's 88.
88 pages.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yes.
Well, yes. So about this book right now, guys. This is 88 pages for $25. You don't want to miss out on this. And I'm sure you'll get all the goodies, stretch goals, and all kinds of good stuff. Let's refresh real quick and see where we are.
Okay.
5, 6, 8, 5, 9, 5. Oh, 6,000. Let's see if we can get to 6,000. It's less than $100, everybody. I know we have over 80 people watching right now. If every single person who was rushing right now could back Black Tiger, then we would be over 6,000. We'd probably be more. Don't you want to help us get there? Would that be awesome? Pretty, please. Get it
Just
now.
saying.
You will not regret this. I am excited. This is a lot of material, dude.
No,
and I remember when when you were on for volume 1, the art looked super good, and I mean, interesting story. And I remember we were nerding out about martial arts and just action. I think that's right. The first time you were on the show, we were talking about action. I still remember, and I remember the interiors were so cool, and this was a cool idea. And I love that you were branching out and creating in a genre that isn't that tackled. I think there's not that much martial arts, purely like heavily martial arts and kind of adventure as well, but martial arts and a little bit of mystery genres in comics and in the indie scene. And you're like just unabashedly doing that, and you just like taken that and you kept running, just charging forward. Yes.
No, I appreciate that. I mean, like one of my favorite things I like that to punch to the, you know, I always loved the Hong Kong movies. So I mean, you know, whether it was growing up watching the Shaw Brother movies or whatever. I mean, when I was growing up, I mean those were the live action heroes. You know, it's like, you know, if you wanted to see somebody kicking butt that was live action, you watch kung fu movies. You know, so the martial arts, I always loved that. You know, and being able to incorporate, and I think that's for all of us. You know, we're telling stories, we're incorporating the elements that we love. You know, so being able to incorporate all these different types of martial arts. I mean, even these characters right here that are standing on that grate, they're all masters of a different style of martial arts. So this is like basically a cage of death. You know, and these guys up here, they're called the 5 Fingers of Death. Very, very on the nose name. You know, you've got a Filipino stick fighter, a screamador. You've got a British pugilist up there. You've got an African wrestler. You've got a shinobi, and you have a 36 Chambers martial arts dude. So I mean, it's like
this is so kung fu movie. I'm having flashbacks. This is great. The pugilist, the British pugilist.
I love the British pugilist. Come on. It was always, what would you have? You'd have the British pugilist, and you'd have kung fu versus karate.
All I see is Fearless and
fucking
Jackie Chan movies, and that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean Jet Li movies, Jackie Chan movies. I mean that's you know. So I mean, it's like all those elements are in there.
I love it. So you got this, and then a bunch of world traveling. I don't know how you're fitting it in there, but I believe you. Fisticuffs, right? Fisticuffs. Thai boxer. Muay Thai. Oh, no capoeira fighters because you're useless.
Yeah. So I'm telling you,
what is your opinion on capoeira?
Well, there is a capoeira fighter. So like when they're in the Brazilian jungle, that guy is a capoeira fighter.
Right. Yeah. I know nothing about capoeira, so I ain't talking shit, but I know a lot of people talk shit about capoeira. I don't know. It's kind of like, wasn't Krav Maga was also a covert martial arts, and that's what capoeira was as well. It was meant to be disguised.
Yeah, it's like a dance, like breakdancing. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's it's cool. Yeah, no, it does look cool.
I don't know if it's functional, but it does
and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. But and it looks good in a comic.
It does. It does.
I like that your love for these kung fu movies and all these ancient history stuff really shows through.
No, I appreciate it. I just being able to put all this fun stuff into one book, you know, and to me that's the beauty of comics. Honestly, I mean, you know, what are our constraints? You know, our constraints are our imagination and then maybe page rates. So, you know, we don't need to make books of people sitting in coffee shops. You know, they can go, oh gosh, they can go all over the place. They should go all over the place. They should be adventurous.
Well, you're proving that in 88 pages you're going from like probably 5 or 6 different locations. This is what comics is supposed to be. It's supposed to not just the layouts and the art are supposed to be dynamic, but the stories as well. I think. Yeah. I mean, this must tie into animation in a way. I don't know if it makes sense. You can certainly draw comics because manga has somehow been able to achieve. Now I'm talking about manga again. I'll keep it short. But manga has somehow been able to achieve this genre of like slice of life, which is basically people dallying around doing nothing, being cute, and then there's a little twist sometimes, and it's still entertaining. I don't know like how they do it. It's Japanese magic, but most like comics, especially if you're doing action, the storytelling needs to be dynamic, and you're really proving that the characters are the visual storytelling is very active and the story is active too. They're constantly traveling. I don't know if that makes sense. Like to me, as someone who's also trying to cover a lot of ground with writing and plan out like characters going on a journey, like this kind of stuff impresses me because it's hard to have everything laid out, but then all the plot points have to fit as well. And then you have to figure out all the fights, and the fights each have to you can't be repetitive. The fights have to be different. But you don't want to drag them on for too long. And then like one of the hardest things is there's like the early writing part, I say, which is the character development and sort of the basic steps of they go here, they do this, this is revealed, that is revealed. And then sort of like the next step is dialogue, and then working out fight scenes is a whole other thing, a whole other skill on its own, because you can't just have them punch each other harder and harder. That's dumb. That's dumb. You have to, like, good fight scenes do more than that. And I love that you made a movie comparison where you were saying like you were the script writer and then Rod was the cinematographer, right?
Yeah.
I love thinking about it. That makes so much sense because that's exactly what's happening. And that's the role that writers and artists are playing, except think about all the other roles in a movie. They have fights choreographers, and they have wardrobe, and they have prop designers and prop builders, and then they have makeup and wardrobe, the same thing, whatever. And then they have actors, but in comics, it's like you're rolling all that into one.
You got to figure it all out. Exactly.
And then the writer, you have like script writers, and then you have the directors, and then all these, and then the dialogue writers, and because sometimes it's different, but in comics, it's all rolled into one. So there's a lot of stuff to think about.
No, it is a lot. It is a lot. And I think that's why, you know, when the magic happens and people are able to make really good comics, I really appreciate it. Because you realize that like folks are wearing so many hats, you know, to make these books work well. And that, but it's also, you realize like, you know, They don't have you don't have a team of folks that are providing you with research. Your artist is probably also the one that's doing your costume design and and the sets, and the artist is doing all that, and it's and when you think about it, it's pretty, I don't want to say daunting, but it's amazing. Then when you see properties put together, and the thing that I love that what you've done with Fiendish is you've done a really great job of world building. So you've done, and I love that too. I mean, I love the whole element of world building. I guess as somebody that has played role-playing games growing up, it's like the importance of building the world and almost kind of knowing your system, right? So it's like you got to kind of know the rules of your world, and then then like from those kind of constructs, then you're building out your characters, and to me, that's a lot of work. People are reading your and I appreciate it, because when I was reading, I was like, man, there's so much more to this world than we even know. But I could tell you put in the work to build that world and to build the rules. And oftentimes I think that could be lost. People will read a story. Oh yeah, that was a good story. It's like, oh, there's a lot that's gone into the story. When I saw the map that you made, I was like, oh my goodness.
Well, there's also the other side of wrong, which is like constraining yourself or not just getting too into the world building. You remember that you're trying to tell a story. I'm sure you have the same problem though, because you've had to do a lot of world building for Black Tiger, I'm sure. And again, for people in chat, because we had a few more people come in, John's been working on this for 20 years, and there are 350 pages of story available. I guess you could back all of these in the campaign.
You can back them all
right here. So this is the third volume. Volume 2 of the second arc. It's a little but there are 3 essentially trade books, and you can get all 3, and it's almost 350 pages.
That's right.
That's a lot of material. 20 years. That's some dedication.
Yeah, either I'm really an idiot or probably that.
Well, if you're an idiot, then I would aspire to be the same. No, I think especially that's admirable. It's in a landscape where there's a lot of throwaway entertainment. I think this is exactly what we need. Well, thank you, Jetta Jago. That would be awesome. For years, yes, exactly.
Years.
20. Did I say 20? Fun. 20. It's my Atlanta. It's like when I live here long enough, I just start saying some things like an Atlanta. 20. But Americans don't. That's like a weird thing that Americans do. It's like we don't pronounce our T's sometimes. I don't know.
No, it's just to enunciate the things that we want to enunciate. Otherwise, just
we do what we want. It's like when we say whatever. It's a D. It's a T. It's like a weird linguistic thing. I don't know. I watched some linguistics video on this recently, and I was like, oh yeah, that's weird. We say some things funny.
Whatever.
Whatever. That's right. Less than 106,000. I know. Let's refresh and see if we have any.
Let's go.
Let's play the trailer, because that trailer is awesome, and Allie's in it, and it's.
Let's see which one. I think the pink one down there is the.
This one?
Yeah, that's the animation.
The animation. Okay, all right. So.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to hold on to your britches right now, because this is a cool, really cool trailer. And if you haven't been convinced to back this yet, if 350 pages of material and 20 years of work hasn't convinced you to back this, and Raluper's art hasn't convinced you to just buy at least one volume of Black Tiger, I mean, I'm sure this will do the trick. So let's go. I hope I shared audio. If I didn't, I'm gonna look like an idiot. Fingers crossed. Da, da, da.
So what? So you're not going to woman up and come clean? There's nothing to admit, Kenya.
Really?
It's done.
Get us out of here.
Yes, sir.
You stalked Brett, and then later you made a date with Derek.
Stalk is a strong word, and I didn't make a date with Derek.
Hey, are you lost?
Well, if you really want another shot at Captain Christian, you better pull yourself together.
Don't call him that, okay?
Don't cry. We'll find your family.
Kenya, it's not religious. It's
a stampede! This sounds like a job for...
Don't say it. Oh no. I've got you.
Trapped!
Run!
Fire! Pour it on! Got it on the rope!
What in the world? Oh my god. They're connected. Stop it. You're killing her. Yeah. Yeah. Hi.
There she is! Fire!
What?
Lethal force has been authorized on this beast, and we're bringing you in too!
Not the beast. Where are you, idiots?
Change fire mode to electroshock! There she is! Freeze, Black Tiger!
You forgot your bag, Black Tiger.
Da, da, da.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh my god, that was super cool. That was awesome. Did you guys like it? I thought that was dying days of YouTube. I really like that cut up comic art thing. I mean, I tried to do it, but the way he warped everything to make it look semi-animated was awesome. Also, yes, that was Allie's voice. Yeah. Allie was the voice. So
that's
who
right.
else was in there?
So let's see. Allie was in there. I believe Melanie B provided voice. Yeah, exactly. Dine provided some voice work, and of course the art was Rod's artwork. But I mean, just this also goes to show just the amount of talent that's just in the community, just in general. You know, I mean, I was blown away by this. Absolutely blown away by this.
Yeah. I mean, and there's another one as well. I mean, it's just it's insane. It's so cool. I've said it before. I know I gush about this all the time, but the stuff that we've been able to do as creators that aren't backed by any company, we don't have venture capital. We just have backers contributing what they can. And not just that, but the talent that is in the community. You're right. People that can do video editing and make toys and 3D modeling and 3D printing and then all kinds of other crazy stuff. And then, you know, we have film directors, we have game designers, and I just love that everyone is coming together. And it's just so great because it's like everyone loves what they're doing, and it's so different than how it felt at Marvel, and it just warms my heart and fills me with love and joy.
See, that's what we want. That's what we want.
It is. Holy goodness! Why am I funded by the? What do you mean I'm funded by the CCB? What is this blasphemy? How dare you? What is this? What is this? I'm gonna ban you right now. I'm just kidding. Not yet. I'm in a bit of a snappy mood today, aren't I? It's because I've had like 3 of these cups of coffee over the course of the day. It's not good, and it's like strong. It's has not been good because I didn't get a lot of sleep, so now I'm just coked up on coffee and might be going insane. But that's okay. That's okay because I'm awake right now.
You seem to be someone that doesn't get a lot of sleep in general. Like you're always working. Yeah, you work a lot.
I tried to force myself to get like normal sleep for a while. It didn't work. I was just like more irritated because I was like forcing myself to sleep. I was like, I want to be dry. I agree. I always start your coffee black. That's pretty much what I do. I just chug like black coffee all day. Let's refresh this and see where it is. Are we at 6,000 yet, guys? That'll be
Whoa! Let's go! Yes! All right, people.
You guys rock. I apologize for your ears. I'm celebrating. I mean, I already like deafened like 5 people in chat, but headphone warning because this is loud. For what it's worth. Wait, I should play the cat. I'm gonna play the cat. All right, cat. Let's go. Have you seen this video, John?
I haven't seen this. I gotta see this.
Okay. All right. The mic, so nobody was deafened. Well, there you go. There's the glorious cat video that I always celebrate with.
The cat was in.
It was great. I love that. It's just actually that cat was somebody made a longer version of it. It's somewhere on YouTube, but I wanted it. The whole thing is like 3 fucking minutes, so I took it and trimmed it down and then added a few things. So but I think I added the explosion sound because I thought it was hilarious. The
cat was pretty intense. But this is awesome. Thank you, everybody. This is awesome. Let's go.
Yes. Congrats. I'm so glad that we had a milestone today. And thank you, chat. Thank you, everybody who backed these books. You guys are awesome. I know you guys aren't going to regret this as well. I'm looking forward to my copy because I ordered one.
Woo!
And I am very, very excited. So there's some very aggressive mic settings. The mic settings. The mic is protecting itself. Do you let's see, let's run down the actual perks real quick. The perks are pretty straightforward. It's like you have a few covers and then the original art, but let's let everybody know what's available.
Absolutely. So the Rini cover, that is absolutely the highlight of the campaign. And it's been brought up more than once. Yes, the cover is in color. Even though that image is not in color, the cover is that beautiful large color image that you get to see right there. So pick that up for volume 2 of Hidden Dragon. There are some digital options. So if you want to be able to read the books off of our web reader that's on the website, you can get volume 2. This is basically the 88 pages that you can get digitally on the web reader. And so you can get volume 2 there. You get the volume 1, which is the next one down, as the first 88 pages. So that's also digital. And then the last digital option is all of Legacy of Fury, and that's 132 pages. So you can, if you want to get all of the Black Tiger story digitally, you can do it that way via the web reader. But if you're like me and you need to get the books in your fingers and your hands, get the feature tier for volume 1, for volume 2 of Hidden Dragon. And then there's a couple of other cover options as well. But I've got, if you've got to have. So there's a Looper edition. I actually made this is one of the interior splash pages of the book. It's basically the Maze of Death cage fight image. So that is an option for an image. And then the one below that is Eduardo Vieira. He did an image for which can also be chosen as well. And just for a little bit of insight, the reason why each graphic novel has started off with 3 different images is, in fact, each graphic novel, it contains 3 comics. So really the Vieira cover is really the cover to what would be issue number 4 if it were broken out in individual issues. The Looper cover would be 5, and Rini's cover would be 6, concluding that story.
That makes right. So it's like what you're doing is it's like you have a bunch of trades. I mean, a bunch of floppies, and all the floppies have their own covers. But then when you collect it into a trade, these campaigns are. I mean, this book is like 80 something pages. So it's a trade, but you have all those floppy covers available as main covers options as well.
Exactamundo.
Cool. Exactamundo. That's a
Exactamundo.
I like that. I'm gonna steal that. I haven't heard that before.
That's all right. I stole it from somebody else. So.
Okay. All right. Well, it's that's fair and square then. Is there a larger version of this cover? I don't see it.
Of that one, there isn't actually. I should have put it on there. There isn't.
I want to see it. It looks really nice. So there's a Looper one. This one.
Yep, that's the Looper one. You'll get that. Yeah. Perfect. And I should have given the Vieira one, but I did not give a larger version of the Vieira one on the campaign.
No, that looks great. I would love to see that.
Mm-hmm. And then that's volume 1. So you get this Looper cover for volume 1. The thing that you can't see there is that's actually a front and back cover. So that's the front cover. Then the back cover, basically it's the same image of her, but from the back. And from the back, you can see in front of her the 5 fingers of death dropping down. So it's like the 5 fingers of death are in front of her.
Oh, that is cool. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
The first cover I can remember that did that, as well as Cash Grab. But I did think that is really cool. I love when covers like I have that Cash Grab cover with me. Oh, Cecil's character is on the cover being all dumpy. But yeah, that is fantastic. And this is the first one, the very first trade, right?
That's the very first trade. Has the Greg Horn cover on it. So the thing is, all 6 of the issues in there have their own Greg Horn cover. So when you get these books, you'll get all 6 of the Greg Horn covers inside the book, but that's the cover on the outside of the graphic novel. So it's I think it's a pretty good deal. You'll get 132 pages. Wish I could have priced it a little bit less, but just printing has gotten more expensive.
Yeah, it has, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. Printing has gotten more expensive.
But yeah, 35 pages for that. I mean, $35 for that many pages. That's Awesome. Very, reasonable. You guys are definitely getting money. And the market price is $45, which just sounds about right.
Yeah.
It's a huge discount. Damn, get this now.
And then there's, yep, this is original art. So the first set of pages are pencils. So these are pencil pages from Rod. You know, they kind of speak for themselves. I mean, Rod's sequential art, like you said it, his game has stepped up tremendously. You know, just with his artwork. So, you know, if you love Rod's art, you can get pencil pages here, and you can also get inks, because once we close this down on the campaign, then he'll sell them at auctions, and at auctions he does really well. He does really well.
I can confirm. Yeah, he does. It's annoying, but it's also inspiring. You should buy these, because this is a steal if you've seen his auctions. Also, next time Valkyrie auction is January 13th. Be there. He'll probably I don't know if he'll be there. But,
I think he'll be there.
All right. Yeah. So
because we're gonna take these, whatever hasn't moved, we'll take these down so that he can sell them in auction.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah. And if I guarantee you, if he sells these in auction, it'll be more than $300.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So
that.
a lot of just fun images, fun pages. You'll enjoy the sequential art. I mean, one of the big things for me in comics, and we were talking about fight choreography. You know, I mean, the fights have to be like a dance. You know, and that's one of the things that I got from watching Hong Kong movies. You know, I mean, the fights are a dance. You know, and they're fluid, and you want to be able to follow the fights, you know, and kind of follow the flow of the action. So that's one thing that I've always really enjoyed. You know, I can think of some of the comics as a kid that really struck me and influenced me. I didn't collect Frank Miller's Daredevil run, but my buddy did, and I remember reading it, and I was reading the action. I was just like, you can do this in comics? I mean, it's like you're actually watching the flow of the action. I was like, oh, I love this.
Yeah, that's so funny, because I'm finally getting educated on American, you know, classic comics, and I'm reading Daredevil, and that's one of the things where, like, the art is old, super old style, and it's like not really modern sensibilities, and you know, I didn't really grow up with this, so the superhero stuff is kind of weird, but the flow is so well done. It's one of the first things I noticed, and sort of also just like the story structure is very good. It's sort of is presented in this like this compact way almost. It's but it is just like, oh, there's like certain way villains talk. I'm gonna get you this time. But the story structures are really compelling, and the action is so good. And now I get it. I get what American comic fans mean by they want action in their comics. This is what they're looking for. Okay, that's great. So these are the things you have to learn. It's like a dance, exactly.
That's and what you're reading, that is a great example. I mean, that's what opened my eyes to what you can do potentially with action in comics. I was like, whoa, you know. So that's cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. This is a really. I haven't finished after this huge Daredevil book. I haven't finished it yet, though. It's a bit. I don't have time, but I like what I've read so far. It's really great.
That's
Minola's
cool.
first published work was Daredevil. Oh, I didn't know that. I like Minola. I like him a lot.
Man, Minola is awesome. I mean, the funny thing is, I actually have a great, and this is a funny story. So like, I met him at a con in the 90s, and I just nerded out. I stayed at his table for like 15 minutes. Nobody was around him, and he's like, "Hey, I'll draw an image for you. You know, what would you like me to draw for you?" Any normal person that knows anything would say, you know, yeah, draw me Hellboy, right? But he had actually done a Batman annual, and I had him draw me Batman. But to my defense, the Batman annual that he did was amazing. So I mean, it's like, I didn't really know him for Hellboy at that point. Subsequently, I was just like, oh, what an idiot. And like, he didn't even charge me for the drawing, the Hellboy drawing, and I had him draw me back.
Why? Oh, well, I mean, you like the work, so
I like the work.
It's he has it's always interesting. He's done so much work, and I remember, I don't know if it's just because when I was going to art school, I was surrounded by a lot of people that really liked his work, but I remember it was so striking, and like it's nothing like how I think, but he's so good at just clarity and visual, like breaking everything down to the most basic shapes. And I actually have this other, I was reading it a while ago. He did this. He penciled and someone else inked, but his work is so distinctive. You can tell that he did the pencils. It's a comic adaptation of Franz Lieber's Pfeffer and the Grey Mouser, which is this like kind of adventure buddy thieves kind of. It's like Conan, but with like thieves, like buddy rogue thieves, and it's tons of fun. But there's a whole comic, and he did the pencils, and that work was so good. Like just looking at that and the visual storytelling, everything flows, and the action is great.
Yes,
like, the action. These are two like swordsmen. Like you have like a big swordsman and a little swordsman. They're this little duo, and they're always being ambushed, and they're just popping around, flying everywhere. But everything reads, and I'm just like, how to get to this point is awesome.
Well, that, I mean, when you get to read things like that, and you're like, okay, man, this inspires you. You're like, this is how you get it done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh man,
good action is just amazing, and especially there's something about good action in comics, where it's just like fight choreography in a movie, right? There's using the comic medium in a way where there's certain story elements and a certain sense or a certain experience that can only be done in comics. I truly believe that. And when it's done
I agree.
Because it's different.
I think comics is the best medium. And I say that hands down. I mean, I've come full circle. I mean, comics really was the first medium that I fully invested in as a kid. And then it's great when you see like the comics brought to life, and then see the heroes that you love being made into action, live action stories. But I realized comics, it's the best medium, period. I mean, it's a left brain, right brain experience. I mean, because like even when you're reading comics, you're kind of filling in stuff in between the panels, so you have to be active. You're reading the stories, and it's like you're the one that's kind of breathing life into the characters as you're reading the dialogue, and it's just like there's things about comics that there's a certain activity you have in comics that you don't have in anything else. Because even if you watch an awesome animation, they've given you everything. You've got the voice of the actor or actress, and they're giving you all the inflections, and they're giving you everything. So it's like, but when you're reading a comic, I mean, it's like for instance, when I'm reading a good comic, it's almost like sometimes the color is the music, because the colors will sometimes be the ones that'll show you, oh man, this is, something, it all of a sudden gets dark. All of a sudden, and that's just kind of like that low, dark theme music that happens right before something's going to happen in a movie. But good comics do all of it. They do it with line art. They do it with color. They do it with all those different elements. And it's like, oh man, I got to flip the page. What's going to happen on this next page? Something's about to happen, and you got to turn the next page to see it. I mean, comics can really be suspenseful and fun and thrilling in ways that I feel like other media can't.
I completely agree. And you're right. Good comic art is like music. It sings, and it's so much harder than a lot of people think. And even going into it, it's just, there's so many levels to it. But I think that, there's a lot of, I hear a lot of people saying, and there's a valid argument, how gaming is a new medium, and that interactivity is what draws people in. And I think that's great. But video games just happens to, it's not my specialty. I think it's a great medium. I think that is where a lot of media is going, but also the truth is comics have that too. And that's something that novels and film doesn't have, whether it's live action or animation, where in comics, a good comic engages the reader, not just as, oh, it sucks you in and stuff, but just like you were saying, what happens between the panels, that illusion of time passing is an interaction with the reader, because it's up to them to interpret what is the sound I'm hearing, and it's their subjective interpretation. So it's this really cool thing that is almost, it's, I mean, in like books, there's also this sort of idea of like the visuals are all up to the reader, but in comics, it's a different way, where it's a different sort of perception, where you're presenting the visuals, but how it exactly plays out in the sense of time is up to the reader. And like the movement and everything is what invites, a good comic will present itself in a way that invites the reader to imagine how things are playing out between the panels, and have them want to almost complete the story and flip to the next page, because there's this whole thing about managing your page turns and all your pacing and all that kind of stuff, and your reveals have to be timed right and all these techniques. And I think comics are highly interactive. We talk about this on a creative block, you know, and I think that's the key to good storytelling. It's engaging the audience and pulling them in, because they're part of the experience as well. They're not just somebody you're dictating the story to.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's why comics, I think, can really, like, I can think of like some really poignant things that I read in comics, and I can remember where I was when I read them. You know, that's how you know you're telling like a good story. You know, it's like I can remember, like, you're reading that Daredevil series. I remember sitting on my buddy's brother's bunk bed reading that. I can almost. It's almost visceral, you know what it's like? It's like his mom was cooking something, and I was sitting there on the bed, and I'm just like, this can't be happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's I remember the exact seat where I read almost all of Battle Angel Alita and all these other manga. There's this old ass. Oh, I was really into this manga called Oguraito. Zero story, great art, amazing, sexy characters, lots of boobs. But anyways, it's not poignant or literary at all, but it was very pretty. But yeah, I don't know. There's something about comics that's just awesome. Can't explain why this is just like what we latch onto, but we're weird like that. Well,
the funny thing is, I remember reading. So the first manga that I was really exposed to probably was Crying Freeman, Foundation, and this was mind blowing to me because these books were super kind of adult, but they weren't just like focused on like porn. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like they had their story arc, and I was just like, man, these books are so hard hitting. And then, like, even as an assassin, you feel so bad for Crying Freeman. I was just like, man, you know, and I just remember just kind of like being drawn into the story, and I was like, I'd never read anything like that before, you know, where I was just like, oh man, you know, this dude's he's in a tough spot, because at first you're just like, oh, he's just a badass, you know, he's doing all this assassin stuff, but you realize he's kind of in a sucky spot, you know, and when I think when you're able to like bring all those different kind of emotions into a story, and it gets you feeling, you know, different ways about characters. I mean, some characters are just bad guys. But some characters you're like, okay, some characters are doing bad things, but you still feel bad for them. You know, and when you're able to elicit those kind of responses from folks, those kind of visceral responses, you're doing something in the story.
Absolutely, yeah. That's just what good writing does in general. It's sort of like you have to commit to a character and make them believable and three-dimensional. I mean, it sounds so basic, but it's true. It's true. It's easy to say, but it's hard to do. And I'm sure we all know that. Chat is saying a rip to Snark, because I don't know. Snark, you're clearly still alive. Don't die, Snark. Come back to us.
Yeah, please.
So there was like a whole mini play played out in the chat. Like, somebody died, somebody got a defibrillator. I don't know what's happening. Please don't die, everybody. We love you. Please stay with us.
Yeah, stay alive, please.
Yes, please stay. Especially Snarky.
The new year is almost here. You can make it.
Yes, we can make it. It's only another half week or so.
Yeah, that's hard to believe in itself.
Oh my God! Don't remind me. Where did this year go?
I
mean, a lot of stuff happened. I was literally just like, I saw a concert last October. I saw Word Runa, guys. I was so happy. I saw Word Runa. They came to Atlanta, but like, I bought the tickets in 2021, like a whole year in advance. I was like, oh my God, it's gonna be next year in October. I'm gonna see it as my birthday present because my birthday's in October, and it was fucking perfect. And then I went and saw them. I was like, oh yes, I saw Word Runa. It's great. And then I was just thinking the other day, like, oh yeah, that was not so long ago. I just saw Word Runa, and I'm like, it's been a whole year. Like, I spent this October, I was overseas the entire month, and like, Word Runa was last October. Oh my God, what is happening? I'm getting old. Where's all the time going? But like, a lot of stuff happened, It's just like, it feels like it's all going. Where am I?
Oh gosh. When in October is your birthday?
16.
16? Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
It's smack in the middle.
Right smack in the middle. I'm October 3rd. October babies. Buddies. October babies unite.
Yeah. Cool. I'm not going to be that person that's like, what sign are you? Because I could ask him, I don't know shit about that.
Yeah. October?
What? Oh yeah. No. I have friends that are like, oh, what are you? Are a Libra with a little bit of Capricorn? And I don't know.
You're like, nope.
I know a little more about like Chinese fortune telling, but it's all for fun. Don't come at me. Alice Baby, you're fired. You're fired. Did you know Word Runa has an arch rival band, Rune Warda? Ow! God damn it. Okay. Okay. It's getting late. Is there anything else that we missed about Black Tiger that you'd like to shout out?
No, just if you haven't gotten the Rini cover, get it. It's color. It's full color. It's dope.
Yes. Do that. Oh my God, is this one? That is the featured dear. Thank you again for making it featured. I feel so honored. And I hope you all like this. This is 88 pages of story, and you can also get 350 pages of stories that have a story of Black Tiger comics pages. That makes sense. That was English. That have been told so far in this campaign as add-on. So that's a lot of material. It's a huge discount, and it's going to be awesome. So if you liked everything that we've been, everything or anything that we discussed today, if you like what John has presented, then back this right now, everybody. And thank you to everybody who has. You're awesome. Yay.
Thank you.
Yay.
Appreciate it, guys.
I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
I try not to go on too many tangents, but I can't help it.
No, I can't help it. This is the problem, guys. It's like we both just like to just chat and talk comics. So it's like I think we tacitly already agreed this is a promo stream, but we were also going to just be talking because like I need to have more self-restraint and control as a host, but it's really hard because we like talking about comics. So, but anyways,
absolutely.
I love it. I think with the conversation should just flow because I think the way I like to do these shows is I'm not just here to say, well, this is a campaign, I'll run it down. I mean, if that's what somebody wants, then that's fine. But I really enjoy getting to know the creator. And if it's a creator that's been on multiple times like you, already have gotten to know you, I want to talk more and explore your thoughts on comics and creativity. And that's what's really fascinating, So this isn't just a strict promo show. It is a promo show. It's also kind of an interview, and I want people to know the creators. I think that's a big part about being an indie creator as well, because we're not famous. We don't have like Marvel and DC backing us. People want to know who we are. So I really enjoyed this. That's awesome. This has been awesome.
Me too.
Yeah. Vaughn says, deserves more backers. Proud to be one of them. I agree. Holy
Appreciate you, Vaughn.
by myself. No, I'm not. I'm going to sleep. I swear, I know you guys don't believe me, but I'm going to sleep. All right, I'm going to refresh this.
Don't sip on any more of that coffee.
No, I haven't. You notice I put it aside. I'm not. It went up again. Yes. Thank you. Woo!
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
Awesome. That's fantastic. All right, I'm actually going to sleep. Yes, I will, believe it or not. All right. Before we leave, I'll just shout out my own thingamajig real quick as well. I have a couple things. Okay. Gather my mind. What do I have to shout out? Oh, there's a bunch of stuff coming up. Okay. So obviously there's Fiendish, my comic. Go to fiendishcomic.com to check out my project, my epic fantasy mystery story about a group of unlikely heroes that are chasing the truth behind a demonic infestation. Already book 1 and 2 are out. You can pre-order on the shop. Chapter 2 just finished fulfillment. The books are going out to people. Australia, New Zealand, and some people in far off corners of the world, some international backers. The books are still in transit. So I'm sorry it took so long. International shipping is really hard, but no excuses. The books are all on their way to you. I have like 3 more wood burning pieces left. Oh, you guys want to see some wood burning? I've been working on. Let me show you guys.
She has got so much skill. She got the wood burning skills.
I don't know. I just like to like bullshit and play around with shit. Here we go. No, not that. Ow. What? Ow! Oh my gosh, how did I do that? No, solo lit. Okay. I'm good at this, guys.
You're a professional.
I'm a professional. Here we are. There boobs? No boobs. Okay. Here we go. This is one I just finished.
Nice.
Ragna.
Yes. That's awesome.
And here is the I think you know who you are.
There we go.
Specifically the black and white cover. So I just finished
with
this.
With your fingers very strategically placed.
Yes. And her hair very strategically placed. But
didn't Janet Jackson do like a image like that with like I forgot somebody was covering her that way.
I think a lot of celebrity. Oh, somebody else was covering her. I don't know.
Yeah, somebody else was covering her. Like she was in that pose, but like somebody else was covering her.
Scandalous.
Right? Oh my goodness. Miss Jackson, if you're nasty.
Delicate sensibilities. Oh. Yeah, this is actually really hard. Like copying and redrawing my own art by sight is like weirdly hard. I'd rather just draw something from scratch. But I think it turned out decent. Yeah, I really like. I had to do more detail on the face because it had to be a little smaller. But anyways, I think it turned out great. Thank you, everybody, for one of these. I have like 3 more of these left. I'm super busy tomorrow, but I'll try to. My goal is to get them all done before the end of the year, so I'll be working my ass off Friday and Saturday. But yeah. Oh, also, I made dice. So, dice. Here you go. I showed these on John's Long Box and on Twitter, but look,
you made those?
These are, yeah. So hold on, let me turn the light down so you can actually see. See the Narsa dice. Yeah, these are. So I carved these. These are numbers in the Narsa, the constructed language for Fiendish, and I have a whole set now. These are a whole gaming set. So I want to. Snap. I have like it's a whole, all of them, and I have enlisted someone to. We're doing test runs right now with some dice that my collaborator already has, and we're going to see if we can cast these because they're like the grooves are kind of deep. Like I carved them really deep, so we're trying to make sure the materials work and we can get them replicated right. But we're going to offer these as a campaign add-on at some point, and here's the 20. So are
you gonna eventually just do a game campaign, like just
I would like to. Yeah, I would like to, but I kind of need help with building some of the game mechanics because I stat out a lot of stuff because my trading cards are all Pathfinder stats on them, but with like a bunch of other stuff, it's complicated. I'll need an actual game designer's help, but I want to do a game expansion, or I might, I don't know, do like a gaming tchotchkes kind of thing. Like I don't have like a player's handbook or rule book yet, even though I don't think it'll be that hard. I need to talk to like Dennis Turner or somebody because he like wrote a whole ass rule book, I think, for Cordrat. He probably knows what he's doing. So
I know that Adam Lawson has done a gaming campaign before too that was pretty successful. So he may be worth talking to as well.
Okay, there we go. Screen. I can get out of full screen. Yeah, Adam's great. I need to hit him up, see if he has free time. He's just super busy, but he is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, gaming integration will definitely be coming sooner or later. Everybody's been nagging me about it.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
In the meantime, yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. You can also, before that comes, check out all my merch on the website, phoenixcomic.com. You can pre-order these 2 books. We're going to be doing a new print run in February, so the pre-order is for February. We're going to print a new run with these new permanent covers and then ship them out late February, and a bunch of apparel as well. And definitely,
your website is great.
2.5. Thank you. I spent so much time on it, and I'm paying for it every month. So please, everybody, buy some of my merch, so it's worth it. I'm really proud of the website. And I want to keep it afloat. So please.
I understand.
And the current campaign, Chapter 2.5 Survivor, is past 26,000.
Yeah, let's go.
Comic on Fun My Comic. So this is hosted on Fun My Comic. The campaign is mirrored on the website, but this is all hosted on Fun My Comic. So if you back it on the website or Fun My Comic gets the percentage either way. And so they've been doing a fantastic job. This has been a really great new experience hosting on their platform. 2.5 is the first standalone one-shot. We follow the story of Casimir after he leaves his hometown after the destruction of Dorbo, and he loses his family, and we follow him as he searches for a new purpose and meet some of the other characters that we see in the main series. We find out a lot more about the world. These 0.5 chapters are meant to be explorations of the world beyond the main book. So even though the stories stand on their own, they're not necessarily in continuity or part of the main books, or not necessary for the main books. Your understanding of the core series will be enhanced if you do pick up these 0.5 chapters. So I'm really proud of the story. I wrote it. The art is done by Michael Rushbrook. I don't know if he's still in chat, but he was in chat. Yes, he is. There he is. Michael Rushbrook is the actual artist on here. So you're seeing this cover is his art and my colors. So go follow Michael. He did an amazing job. All the art is done, by the way. He finished this months ago. So we're just getting this colored. Jake Hyper Wizard is doing the colors, and he's working through that. We're also planning on printing this February. So February print date. He's doing great with the colors. We're going to be fulfilling in very short order. This is meant to be a very book-focused campaign. A lot of original art. As you can see, we got some original art that's already sold out because of all this stuff. So there's only this one that's left. I don't know why, but you should add this now before it's gone. And here's some of the interior pages. A very book-focused campaign, quick turnaround, and I'm really excited to show this to you guys. So I hope you guys would consider it.
I think this was the first Fun My Comic that I backed. First time I did that platform.
That's awesome. Thank you.
I'm looking forward to this one.
Thank you. I hope you like it. I'm really proud of it. I've been really excited to do this story. It's great where honestly, 2.5 was this backstory of Casimir's childhood that I was really looking forward to telling from the beginning. And but it's such a great feeling as a creator where now I work past 2.5. I was more excited with chapter 2 than chapter 1, and now I was really excited putting out 2.5, and now I've been thumbnailing chapter 3. Here are my crazy chapter 3 thumbnails, and now I'm like even more excited for this. With every book, I'm just even more psyched about this because it's like I'm revealing more stuff and the possibilities just keep building, and I'm so excited. It is so great, and it feels like, oh, it's all coming together. I remember when this was like nothing Like, it was like, what, 7 years ago already? And like, I was like, I have kind of a vague idea, but I'll figure it out. And now it's like all here and happening. It's like really awesome. So
it is real.
Makes me happy.
That's exciting. That's exciting. I know you have busted your butt to do that.
Well, so have you. Okay. So we all have. You have definitely 20 years, please. Oh my God.
It just makes me old, that's all.
We're all one more shout out. I have so many shout outs. My apologies, but I did post this on Twitter, so I have to show you guys this before we go. I don't talk about this a lot. I have another store. I have several other stores actually, but some people don't know because I don't really pimp it a lot. I have my own website that's just readingdraws.com, which is all my non-fiendish stuff because I have like a whole portfolio. I have like other art stuff. I've been doing art for a long time. But I have a main store that's a storefront that's just by reading.storenvy.com. I'll post it here. But I'm showing you all this because I just put up some new prints. Some of this is like old work. Actually, this is old work. But I dug up some high resolution scans of it and put up prints because this is like really old stuff I drew in college, but people seem to really like it. And this is kind of an illustration style I did when I was considering getting into concept art. So originally at the time, I wanted to have my goal when I first got to college was I was thinking, well, I can do concept art for either animation or games, and then I would like draw my own comics on the side. That was my main goal. Okay. And then things just kind of like, I don't know, I kind of bounced around, did some concept art, bunch of other, but mostly like grunt work because that's just what happens when you're trying to pay the bills as an artist. But anyways, there was a period where I was like trying to do concept art, and there's some old style that I stopped doing, but apparently people like it. So I made prints of this stuff, and this is all made to order direct from factory. And you can order them with frames, which I think is really cool. So check it out if you haven't seen it yet. Let me just zoom into this one because this is one of my favorites.
Yeah, that's awesome.
People seem to like this. So there you go. Go check this out and go look at my old DeviantArt and shame me for my ugly old work. Yes, go tease me. And that's about it. That's awesome. Thank you. Awesome. Yeah, yes, everybody, please go look at my old stuff and make fun of me. Oh, thank you. I try to draw sometimes. All right, I think that's about it. Tomorrow I will be back for Creative Block. I think it's on, I forgot, Phil's channel. I don't remember. Is it Phil? Yeah, it's Phil. No, it's not. It's Narwhal. It's Narwhal's channel. So, yeah, next week is going to be, tomorrow is going to be Creative Block. And then next week, I think we'll be returning with another episode of another promo show, but I don't remember who it is. I'll let everybody know. Follow me on Twitter, and I'll let you guys know because it's to be announced. But see you all next Wednesday. We'll be back. And thank you, John, for returning. This is an awesome show.
Thank you for having me back. Appreciate it.
Of course. All right, everybody. I'll see you guys. Also, I'm sorry. This is the longest outro ever. January 13th. Auction on Red Valkyrie channel. That's right. Don't forget about that. All right. I'm going to go for real this time. Have a good night, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.